Welcome in, everybody. I hope you've had a good week since I've seen you last, and you're ready for this mindful movement session here. As always, during these sessions, just do the best that you can do, however that looks for yourself. If you need to take any rest or any break for whatever reason it may be, feel free to do so. But with that out of the way, let's get started with this session by getting yourself in a nice, comfortable position, whether you need to shuffle into where you're sat or whether you need to relax your shoulders down or whatever it may be. Just get into a nice relaxed position and start with some nice deep breathing going in through the nose, out through the mouth. Keep that breath going there. And over the next couple of breaths, start to close down your eyes when you're ready to and bring that focus inwards and just focusing on the breath coming in through the nose, going out through the mouth. And as you do so, just relaxing yourself down further, bringing that focus inwards as we focus solely on our breathing here. And this focusing on our breathing does several things. It helps us to relax. It helps us to bring that focus inwards and also just almost tells our mind that it's ready to do this session, especially because we've been doing this frequently over the last few weeks, few months, few years, whatever it may be for your timeline. It almost signals to your body and your mind that this is the time for this kind of session because we've closed our eyes, we're doing the deep breathing. Now is the time for this. And that just helps us to almost set the scene within our own body and our mind here, ready for the session we've got ahead of us. And as always, we'd like to thank ourselves for coming to this session to start it here. Often turning up is the hardest part, so being here is good in itself. But also, we like to remind ourselves that now we're here, let's make sure that we get the most from this session possible. And that might look different for you than it will be for anybody else, but that's okay. You just do the best you can here over the next hour we have together. Keep the focus. And also remind ourselves that if we can't do it to the maybe our usual ability or to the ability of everybody else, then as long as we're doing the best that we can do today, that's all that we can require from ourselves. Keep that focus on the breath here as you're thinking that to yourself. And just let that relaxation wash over you here. So what we're going to do today, keep the breathing going whilst I explain this, is we're going to start with a body scan, and then at the end of the session, we're going to end with a body scan. And we're just going to be checking in both before and after to see what's been different throughout this session. So what has changed as you do this session today. So just keep the breathing going for now, and I will guide you every step of the way here, as I always do with this body scan. So we want to bring our focus and attention right to the top of our head and just focusing on that area. And we're not trying to fix anything or solve anything in this part here. We're just going to observe and see how it feels. I'm going to go down now through our forehead and eyes and cheeks and see how they feel. And we're just checking in and listening and seeing what feedback we get. We can give it a wiggle, maybe a squeeze of the eyes even, and just seeing how this feels in this moment. Let's move down now into our mouth, jaw area. Again, you can move it, wiggle it, see how it feels in this area. Now let's go into the neck, and again, we can start to move it, just see how the neck feels in this moment that we're in right now. Coming down to the bottom of the neck where it reaches the main part of our body. I'm going to go out to the shoulders, and again, we can give this some movement, see how it feels. Move down now through our arms into our elbows, and again, we can move it if we want to, or just check in and see how it feels, checking on the joints, the muscles, the ligaments. Going down through our forearms into our wrists, our hands, and our fingers. And then bringing that focus all the way back up our arm into our torso and going down through the spine. Again, you can wiggle a bit here, move side to side, see how things are. Go down into the hips as well. And as always with this area, you may not have any feeling or much movement or whatever it is that's going on in your hips region, but send the focus and attention down there and see what comes back to you. Going down through our upper legs into our knees. If you can move your knees, feel free to do so. If you can't, then don't worry about it. And if you can't feel this area, then just put the focus and attention down there and see if anything comes back. And then go down through our legs, into our ankles, and finally our feet and our toes. Good. We're just going to do those 3 deep breaths that we normally do here. Each time you do, imagine there's a white light going from the tip of your toes and it's filling up to the top of your head as you breathe in. Ready? Breathing in, breathing out. 2 more. Breathing in, breathing out. 1 more. Breathing in, breathing out. Return your breathing to normal. And let's start to open up the eyes. And as you're breathing in now, let's shrug the shoulders up. And as we breathe out, we're just going to relax them down. So good work, everybody. Moving straight into this part of the session now as we go into it. So breathing in, shrug up, squeeze the shoulders nice and tight. As you breathe out, relax it down and almost try and push those shoulders down as you're doing it. Good work, everybody. Keep that going there. Nice, relaxed. As you come down, bring it up, squeeze those muscles tight. Good. Well, let's continue that, but instead of coming up and down, we're going to go forwards and back. So as you breathe in, squeeze those shoulder blades together, squeeze the back. And as you breathe out, relax and push it forwards there. And again, go back and forth between the two. Yeah, let's just do some shoulder rotations now. Just nice, easy circles round. Good work, everybody. Let's change direction and go the opposite way. Good work. Let's do some with our hands floating on our shoulders as well. So we can start to bring those elbows going around. And as always with this, if you need to, you can do it single arm, alternating arms, or coming both arms round together. Let's change direction and go the opposite way. Good work here. Let's take both arms now. We're going to swing them back behind us and swing them up. Reach up the best you can and then bring it down like our sit skis, but nice and slow with this instead. And as we come back, try and feel a bit of a stretch in the shoulder there at the front. And as you bring it up, you probably feel a stretch in the back of the shoulder area, sort of underneath the armpits. And then come back and forth between the two here. Good work. And we're going to do the same, but opening up the chest and then bring it down for a hug. And again, out to the side. And then bring in. So much like we do with our warm up with our other sessions, but this time we want to really try and open it up, get that stretch in. And as we bring it in, try and really squeeze nice and tight as well. Great work, everybody. And let's reach over to one side. Feel that stretch there. Hold it for about 3 to 5 seconds and then over to the other side and just go back and forth between the two. Just stay here for as long as you feel like you need to for yourself. I always say between 3 and 5 seconds. If you want to hold it there for a little bit longer, that's fine. Good work, everybody. Yeah, let's get into some rotate cuff now. So we rotate round, rotate down, trying to get that stretch within deep within the shoulder. And remembering if you can't bring the arms all the way up like so, you can bring the elbows down and come out to the side and in instead. So there you got two options here for this one. Either up, rotate round. You can also do this one armed if that's easier for yourself. And then you can always swap over to the other side. If you need to for balance or stability reasons. Good work. Let's go into some shoulder rotations again. Just mobilizing them here, keeping things moving. Let's change direction. Good work. Okay, let's bring both our hands up to around about our chest shoulder height here. And we push one hand forwards and bring it back in. Other hand forwards, bring it back in. Just go back and forth between the two here. So as you push out, breathe out. As you bring it in, breathe in. And link it with your own breath here. So as you breathe out, push out. As you breathe in, pull it in. And going back and forth between the two. Nice, controlled, relaxed movements here. I'm trying not to be distracted by what's going on Tammy's screen. There's a cat. Trying to be professional. Good work. Okay, and there it is closer. It's now Godzilla size. Yeah, let's start to reach a little bit further forwards now. So as we push forwards, we're going to reach forwards. And as you breathe in, bringing it back in. Then swap over to the other side. Push forwards, breathe out. breathe in, pull it back in. If you can, try and get your head down in line with it as well. As you can see with the opposite hand, I'm using that as a bit of a support so I can help to get both further and to stop myself falling forwards and being able to get back up afterwards. If you need to do that as well, that's fine. If you don't need to, then you may be able to do it without, but I'll leave that up to you whether you use the opposite arm to support or not. I'll show it from the side as well here too. So as I'm leaning forwards, I'm leaning into it, reaching forward, pulling it back, swapping over. Okay, let's start to extend it a little bit more now. So as we reach forwards, doing the best we can still, but as we come back, gonna come up and over and behind us there. Then swapping over to the other side, reaching forwards, then up and over on the way back. And just keep going back and forth between the two there. Just work, everybody. Alrighty, let's go into our next movement here. We're going out to the side now and bringing it back in to the other side and back in and just going back and forth between the two, breathing out as you push out, breathe in as you pull in. Same on the other side, back and forth between the two, nice and controlled. Good. All right, let's start to extend it a little bit more. So as you reach out, you can use the other hand to hold on if you need to, but we can bring that ear down to the shoulder or as close to it as you can. And then again, over to the other side. So you reach out, lean into it a little bit more, and then bring it back in. Good work. Keep that going. Let's start to do a little bit more movement with it now. So as we reach out to the side, we come up and over on the way back and down to the opposite side. Then swap over, reaching out, up, over, and like we say, almost like you're clipping a seat belt in a very extravagant way. Breathe out as you push out. Breathe in as you bring that arm up and over. Good work. Let's ease that off. Just use some shoulder rotations just to ease out of that one. Change direction. And let's have a little bit of a hydration break here. So grab yourself a drink, and then we'll move on to the next part soon enough. Okay. Let's move into this next bit here where we're going to do our neck and then spinal mobility. So let's first of all, let's get ourselves into a nice relaxed position again after that short little break. We'll just use some nice deep breathing going in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just sort of relax. Bring that focus back in. And let's start going through our flexion extension first of all. So looking up, looking down, going back and forth between the two. Flexion is where we look down, extensions where we look up. And they are two of the four movements that our vertebrae in our neck and the rest of our spine are capable of. Nice, easy, gentle movements. It doesn't matter about how far you go on this. It's just about getting this movement in. Try each time almost to feel like you're curling up and curling down. It's not just look down and look up. It's curling down, curling up. And you know when you're doing it right because you get a good range of motion, but the shoulders aren't moving too much. So they're not coming forwards as you're doing it. They're not going back as you come back up. You're almost staying nice and sat up nice and tall and just curling the head up and down by itself. And the reason on this why we want to curl up rather than just looking straight up and straight down is because if we look straight up and straight down, often what happens is that one area tends to move more than the rest. But these vertebrae in the neck, we've got seven stacked on top of each other there, and they are moving through this range of motion all individually. So it's a little bit on each one, and that's curling over, make sure that we try and hit all of them rather than just one or two doing all of the work. Next time you find yourself looking down, let's hold that position and just let gravity take over. You can bring the chin onto your chest a little bit more if you can. If you struggle with the breathing here whilst you're doing it, you can just back off for a bit and then come back into it when you're ready to. And you might not find you get much of a stretch on this one, but a little bit goes a long way in terms of maintaining our range of motion and health of our neck here. And let's ease out of there, do a couple of looking up and downs. And the next time you find yourself looking up this time, let's hold it there and remembering the things that we can do to make this more of a stretch. So first of all, this might be fine, just looking up. If you want to take it a little bit further, make sure you keep the mouth closed. That's going to open up the front of the neck there. A bit more of a stretch. If you want to take it a little bit further there, you take your hand around about the top of the sternum area and gently pull the skin downwards. That's whilst keeping the mouth closed, looking up, pulling that skin downwards, and you get much more of a stretch through the front of the neck here. And then ease out of it when you're ready to. A couple of looking up and downs again. And we go into our rotation next. So our next two movements, looking left, looking right. Although it is two separate things, it is one type of movement, which is rotation. And we just look left and look right. Nice and simple and straightforward. Don't overdo it here, just do the amount that feels comfortable with you. And the next time you find yourself looking to the left, let's hold that position. And then if you want to take it a little bit further, you can take the opposite hand. So we're looking to the left. So we take our left hand onto our right clavicle area, collarbone, and just pull the skin diagonally downwards towards our right armpit. So repeat that again. We're looking to the left, holding that position. We take the left hand, place it on top or around our collarbone, and gently pull diagonally downwards towards our right armpit. And you may need to play around with your hand position here, whether it's on top of the collarbone or in front of it, underneath it. Feel that stretch through the muscles in the front of the neck here, between the collarbone and the jaw. Some of you may feel it already just by looking to the left and holding that position. So if that's the case, you can just hold it there. But if you want to take it a little bit further, we can just put that hand on that opposite collarbone just to increase that stretch a little bit further. Let's ease out of it. Do a couple of lefts and rights. And the next time you find yourself looking to the right, let's hold that position now and feel that stretch there, either straight away or if you want to make it a little bit more. Again, looking to the right, so the right hand comes onto the left collarbone area and gently pulls diagonally downwards to the left armpit. And then ease out of it again. Do a couple of lefts and rights. Good work. Okay. Let's go on to our lateral flexion now. Let's bring one ear to one shoulder, one ear to the other shoulder, back and forth between the two. Nice and controlled. Nice work. The next time you find your left ear on your left shoulder, let's hold it there. And as always, you've got a few options. Option number one, this might be absolutely fine for you. And you can just hold that position. If you want to take it a little bit further, however, you can drop the right arm down. So that's the left ear to the left shoulder. The right arm comes down and just increases that gap between the right ear and the right shoulder. And if you want to have it slightly differently, you can bring the arm behind your back. It'll be a similar stretch in terms of feel, but slightly shifted in position, whether you bring your arm down or behind you. Just do whichever one works for you, even if that's just bring the arm back up onto the lap. And ease out of it, do a couple of lefts and rights. And then the same on the right side. So right ear to right shoulder, take the left arm and drop it down or behind if you need to. And then ease out of it again. Lefts and rights here. Good work. Let's start to go through the rest of our spine now. So we go with the flex and extension, extending through, flexing down. And I know I've said this before, but there's a very good reason why we always do these movements in every one of these sessions. And that's because with these, consistency is really important. So doing these as frequently as possible. We're doing it once a week, which is great. Doing that is a lot better than not doing it at all. If you can get it in more than once a week, that's even better. I'd recommend about 3 times a week if you want to get the most out of this. Specifically the neck and the back movements, is because they're so vital just to our everyday living. It connects so much to the rest of our body and how it feels, how we move our arms, our hips, everything sort of flows from this spine region. So getting it mobilized, getting it moving is very important. That's why I stick it in every one of these sessions. I try and make sure everything around it is as different as it can be from week to week, but this is always one of the mainstays here. And that consistency is where we get the results because I know from personal experience when you stop doing these type of movements, it makes a huge difference in terms of how you feel, how you move. And that's why I always make sure we're doing it every time. Yeah, let's go into some rotation. Left, go right. And it's as simple as that with these mindful movement sessions. It's just taking the body through the ranges of motion it's designed to, whether it's in a more mobilizing way by moving it, whether it's more of a stretching way by holding it, or whether it's just flowing between different movements. It's all just helping us to move the way we're designed to. Because with our modern lives, looking at screens, sitting in cars, whatever it may be, it locks us in positions for a long time. And this movements that we're doing just means that we're mobilizing it through those range of motions that it's designed to. Because our bodies are fantastic at adapting to whatever we put them in. If you put them into a seated position for a long time, they start to get very good at being in a seated position and they find that's the comfortable position. But what that does is it limits our range of motion and what we're actually capable of doing. And that's where things like injuries and overuse injuries as well come into it. But when we start to put it through its proper range of motion that it's designed to on a consistent basis, it means that it gets used to it and it gets better at being through that range of motion. That's where the phrase use it or lose it comes from, because essentially if you stop using those muscles and those movements, your body's like, well, I don't need to use this. I'll allocate those resources elsewhere to where you are using it. Let's ease out of that one now and go into the lateral flexion. So the muscles that control the movement become weaker because they're not needed. So the body's like, well, if they're not needed, I'm not going to send the energy there. I'll send it to where it is needed. So what we try and do with these mindful movement sessions is to take it through those ranges of motion and remind our body that we still need to use them. They're still useful to us. Okie dokie. Let's come around in a whirlpool. Let's change direction. And ease out of that. Let's just do some shoulder rotations here. Change direction. And ease out of it there. Good. Remember at the beginning of the session, we did our body scan. And I said we'd come back to it at the end. That's exactly what we're going to do now. So when you're ready to, actually, let's have a little hydration break first, and then we'll move into it. If you've had your drink, then just go straight into some breathing, going in through the nose, out through the mouth. Bring that focus inwards. And when you're ready to, you can close down your eyes, keep that breathing going, and bring that focus inwards again. And like I already mentioned, we're going through our body scan, starting from the top of our head down to the tip of our toes, checking in with each part of our body. We're going to take this one a little bit slower than we did in the beginning. Going to obviously you're not going to remember exactly how you felt in the beginning of the session, but have a rough idea of how you felt as you go through each of these parts of our body, just checking in and seeing how it feels. So starting from the top of our head, and we're coming down into our forehead, eyes, and cheek. Now, we haven't done too much in this area, but it's interesting to see how it feels after some time of focus here. For myself, even though I haven't actually worked this area in terms of exercise, we still do have muscles in our face here, so they are still exercising from movement. They do feel a bit more relaxed, even just from the breathing and the bringing that blood pressure down, that relaxation, the nervous system calms down. That just helps just to relax this area by itself without any direct intervention on this. And that's just really important to note there. And maybe the same as we go down into our jaw. Mine's feeling nice and relaxed. It's a little bit tired-ish on that scale, but that's more because I talk a lot during these sessions. So that's for myself. But you may feel like, again, it might just be a slight relaxation over where you were at the beginning of the session. Let's bring that focus round now to our spine. We'll start with the top vertebrae, work our way downwards. And you can again move your neck around, see how it feels. And usually with these, I always feel like I'm a lot looser, a lot more free, a lot less clunky in the movements. Although they do tend to be just a little bit on like the fatigue side with this, but that's fine. Like that's more than to be expected in terms of we've done lots of movements, so the fatigue comes in, but the mobility is there, and that's what we get from this session. Moving out from the bottom of the neck there into the shoulder area, we did some mobility and some stretches in this area, and again, it's feeling like I can move it quite easily. Still a little bit clunky in areas, but that's pretty normal for being a wheelchair user for the last 15 years for myself. But you may vary for whatever reason, but just seeing how that feels. Let's go down now through our arms into our elbows, and again we can mobilize them a little bit. Not too much work done in the elbow region today. However, nice to see that feeling there. And I can definitely feel how we haven't done too much in the elbows and wrist area because the wrist still feels tight. When I compare it to how that shoulder feels, come now down into the wrist, that's feeling a lot tighter. And I've had a little bit of injuries or something going on with my wrist, and that's adding to that tightness feeling. So it's just good to note that and maybe something to focus on next week. Let's now move down into our wrists, our hands, and our fingers. We can give these a wiggle, see how it feels, if you're able to, that is. And then bring the focus from the tip of our toes, tip of our fingers coming all the way up our arms into our spine again. Again, let's move that spine. You can sway, wiggle, shake, however you want to mobilize this spine to see how it feels. And again, there's nice free flowing movement for myself, not too much restriction, which is very different from where I was at the beginning of the session. And then bringing it down into the hips. And as always with this area, you may not be able to move or feel, but we just put the focus and attention there and see what comes back. And for me, I just get a slight easier movement when I try and like rock those hips side to side, just by trying to wiggle or shuffle where I'm sat. Just a little bit easier. Moving down now through our legs into our knees. If you can move them, feel free to extend your leg or bring it in. If you can't, don't worry, just focus on it, see what comes back. Going down now through our legs into our ankles. And although my hips and my knees don't give me massive amounts of feedback, my ankles always tend to give a little bit more. I'm not sure why. Just that's where the signals seem to be a little bit stronger, even though I cannot move or feel this area. I always get a bit more feedback from there. So I was trying to just send some signals down, see what comes back, and then come down into our feet and our toes. Again, you can wiggle or even try to wiggle them. Nice. Well, let's bring that focus inwards again. We're going to start with from the tip of our toes to the top of our head. 3 deep breaths in. Imagine your body filling up with a white light from the tip of your toes. As you breathe in, it goes to the top of your head. You breathe out, and we'll repeat through that. So when you're ready to breathe in, breathe out. 2 more. Breathe in. Breathe out. 1 more. Breathe in. Breathe out. Keep the eyes closed there. Keep the breathing going normally here as we thank ourselves for coming to today's session, whether you want to give yourself a pat on the back or a round of applause. Thank yourself for being here. Reminded ourselves that we need to stay focused, and that is what you did to great effect through this session. So give yourself congratulations for that. When you're ready to, you can start to open up your eyes, bring yourself back to the room as we bring today's session to a close. Thanks again for joining me here today. I hope you had a good session.